put in there that you highly recommend walking the property lines with your abutting landowners before you cut any trees. You know, I don't know how we'd word it exactly, but it would be,
If I may, Harold
Yeah.
and Bob, I'm not looking for any resolution, I just wanted to present the facts
yeah,
as I see
no,
them.
I agree.
To hear one side of the story, so, you know, but, and he's offered us restitution, he's offered us $1,700. I'm not sure I want it, I mean, I want him to take care of it, not me to take care of it. So we'll see, but no, I'm not asking for any resolution, I really appreciate you trying to help us. Us, because there's 8 owners, I'm just representing Cedar Village Condo.
And just one other quick thing is too, a lot of times in surveying, they have to have a starting point. So if they had a starting point near your lot, there's $250, you went down there, it's 5 minutes work. But if he's gotta go, you know, half a mile down the road and go from there, that's usually where it adds up fast. I've had some surveys that pay, you know, 5,000 is pretty easy.
Mr. Bone?
Obviously, you've got a mental picture of how you feel about everything, and we feel bad for that type of activity, and it's too bad you had to go through that. I think we do need to follow up, and you know, I've heard of other issues in other towns where the property lines were not accurate. They might have been surveyed, they may not have been surveyed, the deeds might have been inaccurate. So there might be something that we can do to not necessarily require a survey, but require something like I think Harold and Bob have probably been talking about, to see if we can make sure that when somebody gets a building permit, that they have done due diligence to make sure that they abide by the property lines. And I'm not sure what that could be. And I appreciate your saying you're not looking for resolution tonight, but I think we would want to carry it forward and see what the potential is.
Well, thank you all for listening, I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you, Gary, for putting on the agenda.
Sorry to happen to you. Don't leave a good feeling.
With that being discussed, we'll move on to number 5, discuss offering street light flags for our veterans, residents, both past and present.
I was approached by Sandy Swartz a few weeks ago, and she had a great idea, and we thought we'd put it on our agenda to kind of discuss it. And the timing is perfect because we have the American Legion people here. And given that, Sandy, would you care to share your thoughts with the council, or would you like to go forward?
No, I'm happy to.
Okay,
Thank
it's
you.
all yours.
So I recently was contacted by a cousin of mine. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, and my cousin had a family reunion. My dad was in World War II and served in the Korean War. And at their family reunion, one of my far cousins brought a picture of my dad in some kind of flight uniform. And they asked if I wanted it, and I said yes, it would mean a lot to me. So they sent me this photo, and in the course of our communication by email, he shared with me about this undertaking that they had done in my hometown, whereby veterans, alive and deceased, family members may pay, their cost is $130 to the town. They must fill out an application and submit payment to the town, and then the town makes banners of the veteran. Gary has some photos, but the banner hangs on a telephone pole. I don't know the measurements off the top of my head. Thank you.
I'll let you gentlemen look at it. You can pass it down through.
And they hang them for Memorial Day, and they're removed in November on Veterans Day and stored for the winter. And a local woman who volunteers, she is a volunteer that handles all of this, designs the banners. Oh, you have to submit, excuse me, the family has to submit the payment, the application, and then a photo that is not returnable. They prefer the veterans to be in uniform, and they have to have some hometown affiliation to my town. So if Oakland elected to do this, it would be some kind of affiliation to Oakland. For killed in action, the banners are in red. For missing in action, the banners are in black. POWs, in black, and these others are in bright royal blue. And I was very moved by this. And I'm going to have one done for my father and my uncle, who had no children. He was a beloved uncle. And so Gary asked me a question about where they were printed. I'll try to be quick. I called the woman who does this. It is all volunteer. She was in a small town in upstate Pennsylvania, saw these, approached her town council, said, can we do this? They gave her permission, and she's now doing it for 13 townships in the surrounding areas. My little community has 150 of these hanging. Another community, which is quite a bit larger, I don't know if it would be compared to Waterville, or maybe even larger. They have 500 hanging, and the communities have just been so moved by this, and I was moved by it. And the two gentlemen that you see there are my uncle and my cousin's father-in-law, and they're hanging on the same telephone pole. So I just thought it was something that I was so excited about it. I shared it with Gary and share it with you all for consideration. So thank you, Gary.
Thank you. You know, I can see all of Church Street with these hanging up. I think this sends a really powerful message, and I support this 100%. You know, the cost of the town is going to be very little. I've already met with AJ about it. We can make up the brackets, and if a family member wants to have their family member on there, it's going to cost them $130, and we'll memorialize these people. And like Sandy said, you know, past or present.
Is there any charge for the flags we have on there from the people that own the poles? You know, we have the American flags up there, there's no charge for
No,
that?
we don't pay anything for that.
Okay. Because I know other utilities want to put something on the pole, there's an attachment fee.
Right.
But we don't have to pay, we probably wouldn't for this either.
We actually have a space on those poles.
Yeah.
And, that we're able to use, and I believe the flags would fit in that zone as well.
Further questions, thoughts, comments?
Yeah. A couple of concerns that I had. One, I guess, was just answered. I know the utilities don't like people putting stuff on the poles, but if they don't care if we put it on the pole, that's fine. I wonder what happens if, I guess I'm a little unclear about what a local connection is. I understand if somebody is from Oakland, or they now live in Oakland, or their father was in the service and he was in Oakland, or their mother. But it seems like you need some rule, or maybe you don't have any rule. If you don't have any rule, then anybody who wanted to put up a poster, and maybe that's not a bad thing, but I don't understand what the rule is.
Oh, I can tell you, I have not requested an application yet from my hometown, but the woman that I spoke with said that, well, first of all, she offered to do this for our town, but she said that each town determines what goes into their application. So if, when I spoke with her, she just said, if you were, you went to high school there, you grew up in that town, you were born in that town, and that's where you lived your life, So I don't know, it would be for the town of Oakland.
I guess at the minimum, we need to establish some rules as to who would be there and who wouldn't. And the other thing that I wonder is, if I live in Oakland, my uncle was in 2 world wars, and if I wanted to put his picture up on the post, and I give you $130 to put it up, and at some point your crew that's taking it up or down ruins it, rips it, or loses it, who pays for the replacement?
Well, I think probably, just to kind of give a grander scheme of it, if the council approves something like this, I think that I would like to have the ability to develop a small committee. I would like to tap into the American Legion and possibly get Sandy to sit on it, and we can work these wrinkles out and come up with something that the council feels is safe going with, and we'll just move it forward. But we can work on this together.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm good with that.
I would assume you said Sandy was what, 13 townships she does?
Yeah,
She would probably email you what their requirements are, make it pretty easy, pick and choose the best one.
absolutely. What she had said to me is, if we elected to do this, our town would determine what they wanted on the application. She said typically if we wanted her to help with this, she would design it. She would then send the design to Gary or whomever the town council decides wants to review this and approve the design. And then you would need, if we use them to do this, we would need a dozen. You would need a dozen applicants before they would consider doing that for a town, just because of the work that goes into it. If they did something like that. But I would propose, honestly, that we find a local printer. We should be giving local businesses the opportunity to participate. That would be a suggestion from me, so.
Further comments, questions? I'll make a motion that we go forward with this and look into this and see if we can do this, as long as we can set up some guidelines. Me being a veteran, I think it's an awesome thing, and I think it's very respectful to our veterans from past wars, and I bet there's other veterans in here who think the same thing.
So you're saying we're gonna have to go up Church Street and look at your face?
Didn't say I want my face in.
I'd second that motion.
Motion's made, second, all in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Very
Respectful.
We'll make this happen.
Thank you.
I would like to meet with you guys at some point, so I can go and grab some of you to maybe help us do this. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the year-end budget figures from 2019.
I actually have Doug, our Chief Financial Officer, here to make that presentation. And Doug, over to you.
Okay, you should have in front of you a potential balance forward, balance carry forward list. And we are proposing that you approve a total of $446,479 during the report.
Doug, if I read this sheet right that you gave us, that leaves like 144,000 to go back into.
It's approximately, yes. That will go, yes. And overall, we had a very good year because we've got that. We had 233,000 in excess revenues. We had an overlay of about 134,000. We have a total of about 500,000 going back to fund equity and reserve capital improvements. So we had a very good year.
And on top of that, our taxes did go up.
Right. That's right. I'd make a motion that we approve Doug's list here of carry forward with some of these projects that haven't been finished yet.
Mr. Bowman, second. Second, motion's made, second, all in favor?
Thank you, Doug.
And
We've got one overdraft. You should have a sheet here. And the code enforcement department, we overdrafted that budget line by $12,867. And the reason is because of the additional pay and the benefits that went with the code enforcement officer. That was going.
Where this is over 10,000, what is the procedure?
well, there, if you recall, there's an article at town meeting that allows us to do this, to go over that $10,000 limit as part of our charter, and we just need the council to approve this.
We were advised of this way back when you were changing CEOs because we knew this was coming. So I'll make a motion, we approve this overdraft and cover it.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Number 7 on the agenda, appoint committee members for wage study committee.
This was actually recommended by Bob at one of our last meetings, and I really think it's a great idea. I gave you a list of 4. I'd like to add one more person to that, Ashley Cotter. We have recently learned that was one of her assignments when she worked for Maine General Hospital was to do wage studies, so I think she'd be an asset on the team to be able to go and ferret out some of these numbers, and I think she would offer some good advice for us. We're going to look at every position within the town and find out where we are, comparatively as far as other municipal towns our size. So we're going to try to really come up with some kind of numbers for us to look at next year.
Mr. Bowman made a motion. I get a second?
Now, I was seconded, but I got a question too.
Go for it.
Is this the year MMA did their salary survey?
We're going to be utilizing that number as well.
Do they do that every year or skip a few years? They do it every year.
So we want to contact all of the towns around us that are approximately the same population as Oakland so that we can have a good feel. Because we lost five positions this year. With people leaving our town, going to other towns, smaller towns, and making $2 to $3 an hour more than what we're paying. And we need to look at this.
And you explained to us that every time you tried to fill one of these positions from somebody from another town, they were already making more than we were paying. So, anyway.
Motion's been made, second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Voting on approving a rental of Memorial Hall to Mr. Stevens for his dance studio.
That time of year is here again, and as you can see from the sheet, we are charging him $400 a week. He certainly would like to remain at that price. The $400 a week covers our costs of Memorial Hall, and it would be my recommendation to allow him. He's a good tenant, he takes care of the facility. It's never an issue.
How many weeks does he do this? It isn't the whole year, is it?
No, it's about 3/4 of the year.
We generate about $12,000 a
Okay,
year.
that's what I was getting at. And we have $14,000 in the budget to cover Memorial Hall, so this pays for most of the utilities and the maintenance from Memorial Hall. I'd make a motion, we do this again this year.
Second.
All in favor?